So at first, this video was just going to be a showcase of my toy collection. But then I thought, no, it should be about how this empire of toys built on the Star Wars name goes against really everything the movies stand for. So the video should be about letting go of these attachments, like literally selling them or giving them away. And then I could make a reference to, of course, how it's the Jedi way to let go of attachments, blah, 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 and that would be inspirational. But these toys aren't worthless. It takes a level of craftsmanship to be able to make them, and that's especially impressive and admirable when you dive into the realm of custom figures. So then I found this happy medium. Video aside, just personally in my life, I was getting to a point where I thought the sheer volume at which I was buying all this stuff was getting out of control, and I felt in a way like it was sort of filling a void, and I was feeling silly and guilty, but I still really loved some of them. So I sold some of them, gave some of them away, but couldn't part with others. And I started to think, why do I want them so bad? Any action figure at any age, really, a toy, a figure, it sounds dumb, maybe, but it's a physical depiction of a character. It's an idol. It's something you'd historically see at a shrine or a grave, and as commercial and cheap as they sometimes are now, it's still an effigy of a hero that stands for something. It's someone we look up to. And when you're a kid, there's a small sense that they're there with you to protect you. Not in a physical way, obviously they're 3 or 6 inches high, but in a spiritual sense. It's like a kid's version of having a cross on your wall. It's comforting, but it's also exciting. When you hold it in your hand, when you look at it and you know it's in your possession, you get this subtle surge of inspiration. You're reminded of who they are and all the adventures they had. Sure, none of it's real, but the kid in you is convinced that it is when it's right in front of you. Somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, it's real. The tangibility of it all makes it feel like plausible in a weird way. When I look at the inside of my Lego Outrider, I see the living quarters and the engine and the computer, and I'm convinced this is a functional ship, And then with your mind's eye, you see what it would be like living on the ship, living that lifestyle, being a smuggler. And you can inject yourself into it. That's also why I loved all the life-size toys, the props, the lightsabers, and the Jedi decks I had. Now, the Jedi decks is essentially, the Star Wars Corporation's cheap, money-hungry knockoff and answer to the Pokédex, right? And when I scroll through it, it's supposed to be a bunch of information. I think there it is, all Star Wars Jedi decks. When you scroll through it, the data bank, it's all like alphabetical. If I go to A, the only entry under A is Anakin Skywalker, so it's not a very thorough, not even like Alderaan. Come on, But it looks cool. It feels cool to have it in your hand, How do we turn it off? Off, here we go. Oh, there was nothing cool. I thought there was gonna be something cool when it turned off. But there wasn't. But you get my point. When I was a kid and I was carrying this around in the Velcro pocket of my cargo shorts, there was a little part of me that believed I was a Jedi. These simple props really helped immerse yourself when you played. I mentioned before how me and my friend used to bicycle through this big park in his neighborhood, and we'd pretend that we were Jedi on speeder bikes, patrolling or on a mission. And what sold me was the fact that we had our lightsabers clipped to our sides. I was equipped to fight these imaginary enemies because I had this piece of plastic. But, really I was equipped to fight off hordes of battle droids and Jabba's thugs because I had I was a Jedi with my laser sword at my side. When you put a book down or you finish a movie, reality comes flooding back in. But not if you're surrounded by the characters and the world you just read about. What binds all of us Star Wars fans together, whether or not you agree with the new stuff or the old stuff or whatever, we all have this fierce desire to escape reality, which that can manifest in positive and negative ways. I think Star Wars being one of the positive ways, of course. Among all the Star Wars games I played growing up, me and my brother played Bounty Hunter a lot. And My brother Max said one day after we finished playing it, he said, what if, he pointed out the window and he said, what if Jango Fett landed in the street right there in his ship? And he walked out, knocked on the door, and he said, I need you for a mission. Because he knew that was the most exciting prompt either one of us could come up with. That idea of being whisked away. I think it's why so many of us, some at a younger age, but most of us now in our late 20s and 30s, are making dioramas. These sets. We have the figures, but now we need to put them into a world. Tatooine. I don't usually set up battle scenes even. I just set up people walking around. Just a random day in Mos Eisley. And it's always there in my room, and for a split second as I walk by it, I wonder what it's like there, what's going on in the cantina, if there are smugglers and bounty hunters getting work, or Jedi on covert missions and stuff like that. There's a little part of you, even now, that hopes it's out there. And you use these as tools to catch a glimpse of that. Now, of course, me and I think most of us, we couldn't have bought all this stuff and put together all these sets as kids. It takes an irresponsible amount of money to do that. So that's why I can do that now. That's why we're getting it out of our system now. We're not only trying to recapture our childhood, but we're trying to obtain the things we would have wanted. The things that maybe didn't even exist, or maybe we didn't know existed. I had no idea there was an Ulic Keldroma, an Exar Kun, Tales of the Jedi comic book pack. I had no idea there was a Jaster and Montross pack, which is one of the ones I was able to, become sort of strong and part with.
I've always wanted to do a video about sort of my figure collection, my Star Wars action figure collection that I've developed over the years. And I kind of want to showcase it. But recently I've gotten to the point where I recognize that it's getting to be too much. There's just too many, not enough space for all of them. And a lot of them I don't, it's cool that I have them, but I don't get a lot of joy out of them. Mostly the ones that are in the box, because there's a few, right, that are so rare. You have to keep them in the box, and it's nice to look at them, but beyond that, what am I going to do? So today, I just sold a big one just minutes ago. I saw on eBay that it was sold, and it's tough, it's it's emotional. It's not emotional, but there is a hesitancy. There's a little part of you that's that just kind of stands there and doesn't want it to happen. So what I sold today, Open Seasons, it's a comic book pack including Montross and Jaster Muriel there. And it's just so cool because you can actually, it captured their likeness, and they've got their armor and everything. It's just a cool display, and it has the issue in the back there. And I just sold it, and it's a big one. It's I just want to document it. I just want to document that I had it, and it's really cool that I had it. But I think in a lot of ways it's time to let it go, because maybe you'll see at another point in this video I'll have a lot of other figures, and I have Jango and Jaster and Montross in another iteration up here. They look fantastic. And actually, of course, I have an additional Jaster over here, and he looks great too. So I got him. I know I've loved the collector thing for so long, and I let it get a little too wild. And that one's a special one, but what am I going to do with it, So I just want to document it. I had it. It was great. And now it's time to let it go.
I would have lost my mind for that stuff as a kid had I known it existed. The earlier internet and just, life as a kid in the early to mid 2000s, it was harder to find that stuff. I wasn't aware of it. And I was on the internet looking up stuff about Star Wars all day long, every day. And there was so much that I didn't see until later. And not only that, now if there's an action figure you do want and it doesn't exist, you can just ask one of these many talented custom toy makers to bring it to life. When you get it, not only is the child in you super happy, but suddenly you imagine, wow, what if there had been an Open Seasons Corta 6 play set and then a separate Massacre on Galadran play set? You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll explain it a little bit later. You can imagine, the box it would come in, how they always sort of have a graphic of the terrain of, you know, whatever planet they're supposed to be on the cardboard behind the figures. It's just exciting, man. Imagining like all these niche things being more loved and more popular and more successful than they were is an exciting idea. Like, my girlfriend saw one of the 3.75 inch Kyle Katarns that I have. It's obviously way more rudimentary than like the custom 6-inch ones she was used to seeing everywhere. And so she made fun of it and she said like, oh, it looks like a McDonald's toy, which should have been a put down, but then I thought of this exciting alternate reality where maybe this Kyle Katarn toy was included in Happy Meals during the release of like Jedi Outcast or something as a promotion. Like that would have been so cool. That just made me like the toy more when she mentioned that. Because I thought of like this, I caught this little glimpse into like, oh, wouldn't have that been cool? Now the Star Wars I grew up with and most of you guys grew up with is gone officially, right? But what does that mean? Nothing. All my favorite characters are legends now. And like, yeah, they are legends, but just not in the way that Disney means. So what do we do to keep the legend alive? The happy medium, I think, is that we're keeping it alive through our sheer love of these characters and the stories they're a part of. If you check out the Hasbro website, they're constantly releasing Legends action figures, and there's a super high demand from the fans, and the minute they're released, they're all sold out, like always. Jaina, Mara Jade, Starkiller, that spectacular new Last Command action figure set that just came out. The problem with this is, though, you're still supporting the Empire, right? It is true that a movie that preaches about letting go of attachments and being sort of a monk, the fact that it's one of the most wealthy IPs in the world in large part because of merchandise is extremely hypocritical. But, you know, us as lovers of it and being a part of that machine, we're not really helping. And George has admitted that in his own analogy, the rebellion that was Lucasfilm became the empire that was later Lucasfilm and all its commercial partners and ultimately now, of course, Disney. But the rebels are now the talented people who are making these custom figures. Whether they know it or not, they're taking Imperial tech and repurposing it for our cause, you know? That's the most rebellious thing you could do. We're keeping the dream alive by actively making it a reality through these toys. Now, what this video is really about is those customizers, those people who do this great work and keep it all alive for us. And I want to shout out two figure customizers specifically that I've personally commissioned a lot from and who have consistently blown me away. Okay, first up, I'm really only going to talk about two because I've only bought from two, except for here and there. There's been some. I bought a 1313 looking Boba Fett, which is really cool, and that was a one-time buy off eBay. I bought a custom 3.75 inch Kip Duron in his later years when he's got the all black and the green lightsaber. You guys saw that earlier. Also really cool. The two main guys I buy from that I've commissioned from, the only two guys I've commissioned from are, so we're going to start with Rookie One Customs. Super nice guy, super talented guy. He has a great sense for just like not only style, but like faces, capturing like the vibe of the character. I think the first thing I bought from him, I'm going to link all their stuff down below, of course, so check the description. Go check out the good work he does. The first thing I bought from him, I didn't commission it. It was just something he made. Which is so cool. Genuinely one of the coolest designs I've seen for a Mandalorian is, and I gave him, you know, I gave him like tons of guns because I thought it'd be kind of a cool like holdout Mandalorian. This guy, look at those beautiful colors. I love the color scheme. I love the little the symbol on his chest there. It's all so like intricate and just like beautiful. I've never seen anything quite like it. I love the style. I adore the vibe. This is almost like I could see him on Coruscant, in the underworld on Coruscant or something. You know, I don't know. Or he could be like, he's almost like, you know, he could be out in the desert like on Tatooine. It's almost this these desert colors. It's so cool, so unique. The color scheme is so unique. Beautiful, beautiful figure. And then after that, he came out with the Kuivuldar, I think that's how you pronounce it. the Mandalorians handpicked by Jango to train the clones. Did a great job with those guys. We have the, I don't forget his name, but this is the Ed Harris one. He's always depicted as being Ed Harris in like any drawings of him. So there he is. All the detail on the armor is so good. He's got like those claw scratches on the side. He even comes with a knife and everything. So cool. And then we have Lat's Ward, I believe. This one is so cool. I love the beautiful colors, the green and yellow scheme. And he has the Mandalorian symbol just painted on his whole chest there, which is really cool. And this is a, you know, all of these are repurposed heads, obviously, but again, his sense for like which head to use and stuff is genuinely impressive. So Lat's Ward, there he is. Then this one is so cool. He came, you know, I don't know if you guys can tell me what this guy is. He came with this. There's like this, you know, this alien pit bull. Essentially, this is Baron Apma, the black Mandalorian here, and he's got a head as well. All their helmets come off, and it's so cool. Like, I don't know, I've never seen him depicted with this animal. There's not a lot of information about these guys. They're really part of another toy set that came out, you know, years ago. It was an official toy set, and they were all like the 3.75 inch figures, but he's, you know, sort of blown them up and made them way better, really just improved on them. So I none of those were commissioned. All those were ones he just had up in his store, and I had to get them because they were so cool. And I was really into the Koivu Dar at that time. I was even doing some little, you know, fan fiction about them because, again, there really isn't that much information about them. So I wanted to sort of fill in the gaps just for my own sake. And then I started commissioning things. I commissioned a Dash Rendar, extremely well done Dash Rendar. Now I think these heads are 3D prints that he downloaded like the print files for, and then he printed them. Just beautiful Dash Rendar. You guys know how much I love Dash Rendar. So, and he's got his little holster there. Just so cool, so cool. Then I also commissioned a Kyle Katarn from him, which you guys saw earlier. Here he is with this briar pistol there and everything, and he has like the correct lightsaber hilt, and it's like the cool, I don't know where this face came from. I wonder if it was a 3D printed face as well, but so cool. Like this, there he is. That's Kyle Katarn. Like, I believe it. I'm convinced. And then, so this is a big one for me. I'll throw up some pictures over here so you guys can get a reference. I had him essentially create really every Mandalorian from Open Seasons. Again, Open Seasons is a Dark Horse miniseries about Jango's origin, really. It starts with Jaster Muriel sort of saving him when he was a kid. His family gets slaughtered, and Jaster Muriel takes him under his wing. So I had I'll do this chronologically. The first three I had in commission were, first of all, this guy. This is just like it never really says, but it's insinuated that they are a Mandalorian recruit. This is kind of before they develop their own custom individual colors, and it's just, you know, we got this green on green thing going on. And as a kid, my favorite color was green, so when I saw this like green on green Mandalorian, I was like, oh, that's me, even though they're just these recruits. They're sort of like the, what are they, is it the red shirts in Star Trek, where all those guys are just dying? These guys, that's the equivalent, the green on green Mandos are the equivalent of that. They're dying in droves, but I still think they're so cool. And then I had him create this guy, which you really just, again, this guy doesn't have a name either, but you see him in the background. I think it's a beautiful color scheme of like the blue jumpsuit and then the yellow and the silver. So we got cicadas in the background there. Nothing I can do about that. And you see this guy multiple times in the background. He's just kind of walking around, hanging out, but he's so elegant. And I liked his vibe. And yes, okay, so Tor Vizsla is the villain of the series, really. He goes a separate way from Jaster and develops the Death Watch, right? So the Death Watch and the true Mandalorians who follow Jaster are kind of at war, and Tor Vizsla here is the leader of the Death Watch. And at one point he gets this scarring there, and I actually have two interchangeable heads, one without the scarring, before the scarring, and one with. So then I had him go crazy and just like make everyone else. And then we started diving into sort of the main characters. Obviously, here we have Jaster Muriel. When Django was very young in The Mandalorians, just sort of a young man, a teenager, he has what's really extremely close, essentially Boba Fett's armor. You know, he has that circle there. A lot of these guys have that chest symbol, as you can see. Jaster has that yellow angular one. Django has that circle. So this is like early young Django as seen in Open Seasons. And then we have Montross, who appears later in Star Wars Bounty Hunter, who is also a traitor in his own right. He's responsible for Jaster's death. They're in battle, and he lets Jaster get shot down, basically. He doesn't help him out. But he's cool because he's got like the short sleeves, and he's got his own symbol, and his head comes off as well, obviously. I mean, his head comes off. His helmet comes off. So these ones are similar, but I wanted it just because I wanted it to be like this full set. This is Django in Jaster's armor. Once Jaster dies, Django sort of assumes the role of the leader of the Mandalorians, and he takes his armor with slight variances. He doesn't have the full cape anymore, and he gets rid of that chest symbol there. And so we can kind of see things are starting to look a little bit more modern. So Jaster gets killed in this fight with the Death Watch on a planet called Corda 6. And when we have young Django, he's paired with his buddy Silas, who has, you can see how similar they are. It's like sort of insinuated that they're similar in rank and everything. But he's got the blue visor paint and everything. So Silas is his buddy, and all these guys have interchangeable heads as well. We have like a young Django head, and then it really does look like, the head that he gave me really does look like Silas from the comic book, so impressive. And then later, when Django becomes the leader after Jaster's death, he tracks down Tor, and Montross is gone because he's been a traitor. And now his right-hand man that we see is Miles. Now, we only see him for a little bit. He gets cut in half by Jedi. It's called the Massacre on Galadran because Jedi get false information about what's going on. And they slaughter a bunch of Mandalorians. The Mandalorians weren't doing anything wrong, but the Jedi, it's kind of like the Jedi were like police that got bad info about, a call, and they killed a bunch of Mandalorians on false pretenses. So it's an interesting situation, and that's sort of what makes Django hate the Jedi moving forward, because they slaughtered all those people, including his friend Miles here. He gets cut right in half. The way I think of it is, again, in two sets, sort of. You would have the Corda 6 set, which would contain Montross, young Django, Silas, and Jaster. And then you could have a Massacre on Galadran set, which would include older Django, Tor Vizsla, because he has a scuffle with Tor Vizsla, Miles, and the recruit, because you see a ton of these guys on Galadran. Oh, and then I forgot one. On Corda 6, it would come with this lieutenant guy. I always consider him in my head canon, he's like a lieutenant rank or something. I don't even know if they have what their ranks are in the Mandalorians, but there it is. So that's what I imagine when I see these guys, and it feels great to have them, because again, the kid in me is like so excited because this was my favorite comic book as a kid. Now, the next customizer I've both bought and commissioned a lot from is Old Architect Customs, and again, I'll link him down below. The first thing I got from him is this beautiful T3M4. Like, oh my god, that's so cool. I just gotten Hasbro's Bastila, and so I was like, oh, she needs T3. I saw this, and I was just like, I was blown away by just how good it looks. God, it looks good. I'm still like so pumped about that one. And then he had Mandalore the Ultimate. I love how it has this real cloth. the next thing I would get down the line, I'd totally get an Ulick Keldroma. If you remember, he has that red ragged tunic that sort of runs over the front of him and is all beat up. If I could have a 6-inch custom Ulick Keldroma with this sort of real cloth for that tunic, that would be so cool. But this Mandalore the Ultimate is beautiful. And then I also have Cassius Fett, extremely cool. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who knows, but I think he made the molds or the 3D print files for these, old Knights of the Old Republic Mandalorians, which is so cool. He's the only guy I know who makes these, and they look fantastic. And then I have just a regular one as a 3.75-inch figure. And then I have, she's also from the Koival Dar. She's either Isabet Ryu or the other one. She's one of the girls. There's two girls. Female Mando, very cool. And then this one was actually, and I do have, I'll throw it up here as well, Mandalore from Knights of the Old Republic 2 that I commissioned from him. Also looks gorgeous. It's not totally finished yet, so I don't have it yet, but there it is. So cool. And then this one, so the dash render I got from Rookie 1 is really cool. It's like almost a little more cartoonish in a way. Like his face is more like, he looks like it's almost animated, at least to me. The colors are more fun and everything. This one, the body is by Old Architect Customs, and then the head was 3D printed and painted by Rookie 1. So this is like a labor of love from both of them. And this is more of like, again, this is why this stuff excites me. This one looks more realistic in a way. In his head, it probably won't focus very well, but he almost looks like Jesus. He's my Jesus. This looks like if Shadows of the Empire were a live action thing, this would be the figure that tries to recreate the likeness of the actor, right? Like it looks more realistic to me in a way, which is really cool. And I begged him to make the jetpack that you can acquire in the game that he has on there. So, oh my gosh, so cool, so cool. So please go check both of these guys out. Check out all the great work they do. They're incredibly talented. I've tried to paint stuff on my own before I considered buying any custom figures. I was like, I could probably do it on my own. And I bought a few Jango Fetts from Hasbro, and I wrecked them real good. I destroyed them beyond repair. It's really hard to do. It really is a labor of love and a craft that takes a lot of time to understand and to master. And again, these are the guys that are keeping it all alive, certainly for me. So please check them out. Check out all the good work they do. As long as we keep our love for these characters and the stories they come from alive, then the dark side will never win.